about time. And some of you know that once upon a time I lived in Abiquiu, New Mexico, right next to Georgia O'Keeffe, whose home, you know Georgia O'Keeffe, the painter, whose home was right next to ours. And we had this amazing time with the community of Abiquiu. You ever heard of Abiquiu? New Mexico. Not far from Albuquerque. Not far from Santa Fe, where we go to all the wonderful arts festivals. But the last minute people, and we all kind of can say, yeah, we are that in some ways, right? Coming into an event would be the group called the Penitentes. And I had the choir in the church, and the Penitentes would come in right at the beginning, or maybe a few minutes later, you know, and they would look up at me over the choir. It's like, here we are. And it was just so delightful. I've always loved people who come in late. And so I'll tell you the second part of the story if we have not arrived at noon, but I think we have. 12 bells, right? Oh, wonderful. Gale Lynn. Gale Lynn Suver. What nationality is Suver?
Welsh.
Welsh.
That's what we were always called.
Yes, I was wondering. I was wondering. Do you know about your Welsh roots? Husband, introduce your husband
he would
here.
know more than I. That's my husband.
Yes, want to stand up here?
45 years.
Morning, good afternoon. Morning.
And I'm Gale Suver.
Artist of this,
Want to talk right into that microphone?
of this show out here in the loft.
And your daughters are here?
And I do. I have 4 daughters. We do have 4 daughters. The youngest and the oldest are here. The youngest just got married Saturday. So we have all 4 married people.
Go ahead.
Which is quite an accomplishment.
And you were telling me that you came to this cultural arts center just a couple of years ago. I feel so honored,
It's been
especially
about
with
3
your
years.
painting. We'll see it, of the cultural arts center. It's so beautiful. Tell us
I
about
didn't bring
that.
that one in, it's out there, but yes, so my art began when I was young. I was telling Ellen that when I was in elementary school, there was a teacher that noticed something in probably 2nd grade and told my mom she thought I had a gift of drawing. And that's the most earliest thing I can remember. And they had me draw the Christmas mural that year. And so it kind of went from there. I took classes in high school, and then I took years off raising families. I worked in the medical profession for about 14 years.
Tell us what you did in the medical profession.
I'm a medical assistant. And
What's a medical assistant?
it is really, it's right kind of below a nurse. So I didn't do enough to become a nurse, but you do about everything.
You do about
For
it.
the doctor, yeah.
You might as well be
you
the
make
nurse
them
and
look
the
good.
doctor.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right. That's right.
Don't we all know that? Anybody?
General practice for about 5 years, and then I was in dermatology in Cincinnati for over 7 years, which was, I loved, very interesting. So I retired when we moved back to Columbus in 2014, and decided I just enjoy my family here in Columbus and all the grandkids that were coming one after the other. We have 7 grandchildren, and a potential for more. No pressure.
Tell us how you mentor or you're present to your grandchildren around art.
Oh, yes, I was telling her, in the summers, we have Art with Mimi in our garage. And all my grandchildren set up their little table easels, and we do something pretty simple. But it's just amazed me how they went from thinking I can't do this at all to being amazed at what they can do. And I try to tell them, and I tell everybody, we all have a level of art in us. And I just think if you experience it and enjoy the process, you will find, you'll be amazed at what you can do.
And you had mentors that way yourself.
I
You
did.
say you may have gotten that, what, talent, what you have, from your father?
Correct, yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes, he is an artist, or was, he passed, in his own right. His was more an architectural. I have a picture of his at home which just floors me because it's so accurate of a doorway to a very ornate architectural building. And he got an A+ on it, and it's got the date and everything. But he was so precise in his measurements. But that just always boggled me. So I felt like we didn't have a lot in common, but now I feel, now I've evolved into understanding his appreciation of buildings and the measurements and getting everything accurate right down to the, because I probably am too hard on myself sometimes with that. But,
And we have an artist who's gathered with us today, artist construction.
Yes,
So you appreciate.
yes,
what you-
absolutely. Engineer side of it, absolutely. Different vision.
that was right, it is, you're right, and that's exactly what my father was. So yeah, from there, I did have a teacher in high school, which I had a love-hate relationship with, because I don't know if it's my personality, I felt like, well, why isn't he telling me, you know, this is good or that? He was more, if he was hard on you, it would drive you, and so after years of realizing he was that personality, that if he was hard on you or didn't say anything, he must think that you have something. So, and from that, I took some online classes before I found the Cultural Arts Center, which I enjoyed, but it's so impersonal. And through one of my husband's old coach's wife, her name was Carol Dale. She used to come here and take jewelry classes. And she told me about this center, which I never even knew about. It's like Columbus's best kept secret, but then everything has changed since I've come here. Just the networking, the way we work off of each other, and the instruction, and just you get so much from this
Why
place.
don't you say that over again, because they're listening, they want to hear you. You want to hold that microphone up? I can
I'm not
see.
good with
To
them.
your mouth.
Deb, go ahead. Just say it again.
Hold
It
it
was
to your
wonderful
mouth,
to
not
hear.
away.
Sorry.
No, close up.
Close up.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just saying I've gotten so much from the Cultural Arts Center, just networking with other artists and the encouragement you get from each other, and the critiquing. I even love that. I mean, because you get so much from it. The instructors here are wonderful, and just the fact that you help somebody through their first solo exhibit, which is what I'm doing right now, and that's been golden in itself. I've learned and gotten so much out of that, and come outside my box in a lot of ways, which is good for all of us. I'm 63 years old, so if not now, when, you know. So,
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Well, I'm going to have you just take over in terms of telling us about these paintings and how you go about. What I love is the fiber. There's such fiber in your paint.
well, yeah, the palette knife. So I brought this one in basically because this was one of my earlier pieces, which I'm very proud of, and I love it. But it's basically all done with brush. And this is a store out by my daughter's house, actually, that was untouched. It's been sitting on a corner of Locke and Marion in Centerburg, Ohio. And I'm just intrigued with, like everything I do, with the older things that have been basically
Asking to be able to
untouched.
see this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So let's hold this up just a little. So tell us again.
So this was all done with brush. There again, pretty detailed. It was one of my earlier pieces when I was deciding what my theme was going to be for my show, which is Ohio Inspiration. And my husband and I took a lot of trips on the back roads of Ohio, and I was inspired basically, first of all, coming out to Centerburg, finding old tractors, old barns, machinery, terrain that has been either untouched and stood the sands of time, which this store has since been painted, which I don't think it looks as good now, but this was before it was repainted. So then I evolved into using the palette knife, which I still do my underpaintings with brush. So I brought this one in because it was one of the most detailed ones that I did. But it's all done with palette knife, and I just love the texture and the flow that you get with the palette knife.
And the color. Tell us about color.
Well, in this one, you're right, color and value has a lot to do with what makes me choose a subject. And I loved, of course, this is a rusty old road grader. I never even knew there was such a thing. I believe this is in Bangs, Ohio. I just love the rust, again, or that orange rust against the green, because they complement each other. And a lot of my paintings are, that's what draws me, is the color of what's against the foliage, and then the old barn in the back. And I do change some things. I don't believe that barn had as much blue in it, but I try to make some of these my own. Sometimes I'll take out a car or a person. This here is this is an old mill foundation on the Scioto River. I believe this is going towards Delaware. And we saw this taking a drive. I went down through some thistle and weeds to get the picture. I just thought that was beautiful stone against the murky water and the greenery. This came together pretty quick. I say paintings are sometimes like my children. You love them all, but some are easier than others. And so, for whatever reason, this came together in 3 days, and this was like 3 weeks. So you just never know. Depends on the detail and how it goes.
It's in place of others. Huh?
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's just going down this weekend. Yeah.
Well, let's put this in another for the sake of people saying, I can't see. Ta-da! That's that one.
So of course, in this theme, a lot of these things mean something to me personally, and of course, that's why I had to do the Cultural Arts Center, and I know it's probably been done a million times, but this is my version from across the street. You can probably tell where I am. And I even love that the apartments are in it, because it's kind of yesterday, or today versus yesterday. I had a lot of fun doing that. There again, a lot of detail and trying to get precise on the exact measurements, but I basically freehand those though. I drove myself too nuts using rulers, and which you probably do, I know. And that stuff, so I just count on my eyeball, and Brent Payne, my teacher, he's very good at saying, Gale, that needs to be higher, lower, or whatever, so that helps me out a lot.
It causes me to befriend the Waterford.
Does it?
Yes, I've been here a number of years before the Waterford was built.
Uh-huh.
And my office watched it go up and heard it go up. And I love what you've done. You know, there's
I appreciate it more too after painting it. You're right. It's so cool with all those balconies, right,
Yes.
one after another. It's really unique. And there again, that sky was not that blue, but I love the blue against the, those are probably two of my favorite combinations. I mean, you can see that in my paintings, but the oranges and the blue just complement each other. Does anybody have any questions?
Tell us about that one on the easel.
This here, yes, this was out near my children, once again on a farm, a back road. It's an old excavator. Well, it's from General Excavation. What is it?
hold that one up.
Crane.
Oh, that's wonderful. And the
There
contrast of that
again,
color
rusty,
with the
had
background.
all kinds of foliage growing all over it.
Mhm.
Just beautiful rust against the nature, I guess.
Yes, wonderful how you do that. I love it. Question from daughter.
Actually, not a question, just a comment.
Sure.
I just wanted to say that with your putting that kind of blue in there, it actually gives the painting a certain high degree of, what would you call it, a degree of distinctiveness. I think that was a good move on your part.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yes, I see what you're saying versus if it would be more of a white blue.
Yeah. It would become indistinct, especially in the event that it was photographed.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. And I do work from photographs. I love to do plain art painting. I just don't take the time to do it very often. Unless you're on a very strict time schedule.
So when I look at the painting, a lot of times, me as an artist, I look at things that are balanced. So I try to balance the painting one side to the other.
Mm-hmm.
And with the water photographers to the right, and the bright, orange and the yellows, and then of course, the culture art center right there below. When you look, it almost looks like it's unbalanced, but the blue really brings the balance back to where, to me it feels balanced. It almost feels like it's weighted onto one side, but the blue really helps that whole painting become more of a balanced piece in my eyes.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think of that, putting the darker blue in there, but yeah, I think it would have been a little off with it being, if it would have been lighter.
Given that you work from the photographs, have you spent time improving your knowledge of photography, or is it just you're basically using a phone?
I'm basically using a phone. I have a very
How many
good
pictures do you
camera.
end up taking of a subject before you find something that...
Probably 4 to 5, and yeah, because I'm usually hurrying it, like when I was down there, trying to keep from falling in the water. So I just take as many as I can and then go home and edit and bring them in and crop them the way I want to paint.
I like the way you did to the building, and it blends into the sky, and the road really matches what's around here.
Thank you for noticing that. Yeah, I put the blue in the road to try and balance out the blue because that was so extreme.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things you put in that I find really interesting, because I take a lot of photos and then pull out the parts that I want for the painting. And one of the things you left in was the bar with the traffic lights. And the bar really works. I mean, the traffic lights too, but the bar actually brings your eye down into the painting. And it would be one of the things that I probably might not have even noticed in my own, if I were working, I'd say, well, I don't want the traffic lights in there, I'll leave this out. It really helps your painting to have that bar there.
Thank you. I have fun doing that. And there's some things you just have fun doing. I love painting in general, of course, but sometimes you get excited about working on certain things, and there's something about traffic lights I just love doing.
So when you said orange and blue, you enjoy working with them, it reminded me of one of my favorite artists, Renoir. I love to use those color combinations as well. I'm wondering, just for your own enjoyment, what type of art are you drawn to maybe display in your house, or what do you enjoy looking at?
What do I enjoy looking at? I would say nature. I have done 3 large pieces for my house. And one is birch trees, and guess what? The background is as bright orange as his shirt. And then I did one above the fireplace. Took a trip to Glacier, and it is the blues, green, and the trees, the trunks of the trees are orange. So yeah, I don't know what it is, and then yeah, most of my downstairs has oranges in the pillows and everything, so just drawn to that. And I love the combination.
I wish I could see the glacier. I'm fascinated by glaciers.
Okay, probably have a picture on my iPad. I will find those and we can pass it around.
Oh. While you do that, is it Rebecca?
Yes.
And you, Todd was telling me that you're part of a downtown gathering.
Oh, yeah, the
Nice
downtown.
enough. Tell us about it.
Sure, the Downtown Residents Association of Columbus.
Downtown Residents Association of Columbus.
Yeah, it's DRAC for short. And right, we meet once a month, and we just have fun events. We like to introduce our members to new places or old places they may not have visited for a while. And we were just here last Wednesday because we had an art walk, and this was our last stop. I wanted to show our membership a couple murals that are downtown that they most likely drive past all the time and don't know anything about. And then we went to some galleries and ended up here. Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thank you. And what a tremendous resource for the community. I love it.
It is indeed, is it not?
Yes, it is.
And we have what?
Yeah, you can pass that around. I put it
That's
in
the glacier?
That's the glacier, yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
a waterfall.
It's a
Glacier
waterfall
National
at
Park.
Glacier, yeah.
Oh, Glacier National
Can you
Park.
see that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's stunning.
And that is
Oh my goodness.
4 by 5 feet.
Oh, do you like doing the larger pieces?
I love doing the large pieces. I don't know why, it's more free.
Yeah.
I did some small ones, but I just sometimes get cramped working small. But of course, those aren't easy to transport, so they're in my house.
Do you sketch before you paint?
I sketch with a brush. I believe when I started out, like with the store, I sketched that in pencil. But now, there was actually Gina, there was a girl in our class that I know she has some professional training in art, and I saw her doing all her drawing with a paintbrush. So now I do that. It's worked out simpler.
I did say that you did a great job on that job.
Well, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Yes.
What inspires you of this painting? How did you learn how to do all that? Pick the buildings.
What inspires me is the ornate design of it, the fact that when that was built, we didn't, a lot of it may have been done by hand, I'm sure, and
Yeah.
whoever designed that more than likely designed it freehand. That's what inspires me about a lot of old things, is that how much work was put into it that today is made so much easier with technology.
So I kind of ask this question to a lot of artists. Do you ever find yourself in a moment to where you're only standing there and watching the paintbrush do the work and you're really not doing it?
Yes, yes.
It's almost like standing there and just watching your hand do the work and you're not doing it. It's the paintbrush that's actually doing it.
Yes, you're right, and that's, it doesn't happen with every painting, but it's a wonderful experience. I've told people painting is the one time you just forget everything else, or art in general is.
Is that first one be like that? That is so extraordinary.
With what, this one here?
Yes.
Yes, this one just came together, and it's almost like I could feel those stones with the palette knife. It sounds kind of weird, but it just comes together sometimes, and yeah, you just feel like, how's this happening? But it does.
What's your workspace like at home?
It is a bedroom we had downstairs, so it's pretty good size. I don't know the size of it, but I have enough space. I do have a wood easel like these. My ceilings aren't high enough, though, to go too high with it. But other than that, I have plenty of space. And no carpet, because I ruined our upstairs carpet when I started. Yeah, I had paint, and guess what? It was that dark blue on a flip-flop. And it was all over the place before I noticed it. So we got new carpet upstairs.
Gail, you mentioned you started with a brush and then went to a palette knife.
Yeah.
Did you just pick one up and just start playing with it, or do
Basically,
YouTubes, or?
I didn't use YouTube. Well, I might have a couple, now that you say that, yes. When I was doing online classes, I did use YouTube. The birch tree that I was talking about was the first palette knife I did, and it's in our house. And my husband noticed I had such fun doing it, so I did that, but then went back to brush painting, and he saw how frustrated I would get a lot, and he said, "Why did you quit the palette? You seem to love that," which he was right. So when I went back to that, it's like everything came together. I will probably not go back. I mean, I may, but you never know.
How do you paint such fine things like those branches with a palette?
It is, I use, I brought them just for the heck of it. This, I almost always use this shape of a palette knife. And the side of it, it just depends on how much paint you get, but if you would just get a very small bit, and you can make a tree very easily that way. The hardest thing to do with a palette knife is to write, and I use a smaller one and use the tip of it. I know you can't really read this, but it says General Excavator, I believe, General Excavator. Other than that, though, you can do about anything with a palette knife that you can with a brush.
I asked your daughter to hold this Nelsonville one up.
Oh, yeah.
It's down with those buildings.
So, of course, those buildings were not as tall as that. That was kind of my expression of, but this is downtown Nelsonville. Nelsonville means a lot to me. My grandparents were both born and raised there. And the downtown square is still beautiful. The building's also cool. And, I may have changed some of the colors too, but those basically are what the buildings look like. And there again, the sky wasn't that blue, but
I love that blue.
Oh, this is gorgeous. I was sharing that in the paper the day before yesterday, there's this debate by a builder whether or not to eliminate the building between the old Madisons and another one. Oh, yeah, you read that. And the picture of this building
It was
between the
beautiful.
two-
It was beautiful. And I
And it
said,
was
don't
going
get
to
rid of
say
that
the
building.
light to go on between these two other buildings. I thought, oh no, that's too wonderful.
It's beautiful.
When I saw your
Yeah.
painting, I thought, you should paint paint the old masters. It's so beautiful.
There's so many beautiful buildings in the state. I could paint for years to come. Yep.
Excuse me.
Yes, Lucia.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, you look like you've taken on what we call the impressionistic style. Is that so?
I think so. Yeah.
Have you always did that, or did you just adapt it after?
I would say I just adapted. I've never considered myself impressionistic, but yes, I think sometimes I do.
Well, you should laud it because actually it's got a great style.
Thank
I
you.
mean, you remind me of the old masters.
That's sweet.
In Northland High School, did you have teachers who shared with you some of the masters, shared the stories of art history?
Oh, yes, Mr. Rabel, he did. We had probably a whole semester on the masters, and I probably didn't pay as much attention then as I would today, but yes, we did. And to this day, I love going to museums. Here, Cleveland has a beautiful one. You just get inspired. I think everybody should take trips to the museums and, like you said, check out the masters and techniques.
I have a couple of questions for you. Have you started on something and looked at it along the way and said, nope, not going to do that? And alternatively, what would you really like to do that you have not taken yet?
Yes, I have started on something and worked very hard on it. And it was before this series. I started a painting of my 4 daughters, and we were all at a venue in German Village. And I just became too frustrated with it, and it just did not turn out. So that is put on hold. And what else do I want to do? I'm still in this feel right now for doing buildings and terrains and bridges, and I really haven't thought much beyond that. But I would like to do something different. I'd probably like to work more on people. I don't think I'm a portrait painter, but I would like to work on getting people incorporated in some of my paintings. Because if you notice, I really don't have any people, and I believe I took a car out of Nelsonville. I sold one at a show earlier this year, and there were 2 cars and a motorcycle in it, which worked. The guy must have loved it because he bought it, but I haven't done one since.
How did you evolve from your grandparents being in Nelsonville to Columbus, where you were at Northland High School?
Well, my grandparents all moved from Chauncey, Gloucester, Nelsonville. They were all in that area, both sets of my grandparents, to Columbus. My mom went to West High, and so did my dad, and grew up on the hilltop. You all know that area. And then just kept moving further north. We moved from around the Graceland, or not Graceland, I'm sorry, my first Norwood was my first house, Huey Road. I went to Huey Elementary, and we moved from there to Devonshire, which is the Carl Road 161 area. And that's how I went to Northland.
And met your husband?
I met my husband in high school. Yep. 45 years in October.
That's great.
Yep. 4 girls, 7 grandchildren.
And keeping the art alive among the grandchildren.
Yes.
What a gift. Your
Yes.
daughters, huh?
Yes.
Any comments about that? We'll give you.
Well, my daughters all have creativity. They have not gotten, now she took a minor in art, correct, at OU.
Ah,
Yes.
oh, you, that's a great
So
place to
they
study art.
all have talent of their own, yes. They haven't delved into it, but there again, I didn't either till about 60. So, all right.
Well, let daughter say something about mother. Mother as artist, mother as mother, mother as grandmother, to become.
Yes, growing up, we all knew that she was super creative. I'd always have her paint my face for all the games and stuff. But we knew she had this in her, but I mean, it's just been amazing watching her evolve and see more and more. And we're just so proud of her. It's amazing.
I'm a bit older than her. So before she came along, I mean, even our basement, and the earliest I can remember, all the cinder blocks, she painted a playroom on them. I mean, she did all of my babies, she did the murals on their walls, and then we decided I didn't like that because once they got older, we painted over them, so now she does canvases for them. Every birthday card is drawn, so they save all of those and frame them. I mean, it's priceless what she's given the kids.
Isn't that beautiful?
I put you on the spot. My daughter would have killed me. But I was just thinking of my daughter, who is an artist and an engineer. And Debbie knows her from the School for Young Children. But we had a house fire in December that I have shared with some of you. I always call those who started it the Three Stooges. They worked on a gutter and burned our home. But one of the pieces that I said to the restoration person must be saved was a work that my daughter did that would be covering that entire wall. And they said, we'll work on it. I said, yes, you will work on it. And if you need some artists to help, I'm bringing them in. It has been restored. And it will go, as you were saying, the murals, okay, it will just cover an entire window and wall. I don't care if it covers the window, right? That's where it always has been. And we will celebrate. So as you talk about art around the house, what that has meant to you from your mother, what a lifelong gift. I know I've had that from my daughter. Wow.
Oh yeah, she's very creative. She passed it on. I mean, I do hair. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
do you?
creative that
I
way.
just noticed
So
that.
I can't
Hi. Referral is the name of the game, right?
Oh. Yeah.
Do you
but-
hair?
Yes, I do.
Where do you work?
In uptown Westerville, I have my own business. So.
Oh, how wonderful.
I
What's
guess-
the name of it?
Callaluna Salon and Spa.
Ah, what is it? Great.
Callaluna Salon and Spa.
Uptown Westerville.
But I just, obviously got that part of my brain opened up from her. I'm creative in that way. I can't paint or draw, but.
But arts
You
expression.
should see the birthday party she throws our kids, though. We talk about creative.
Ah.
Interest on steroids.
Oh, wonderful. Well, hubby, do you have anything to say? Let's hear from all of the family here.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Right into the microphone there.
Well, I'm obviously in awe of her talent, and her painting's amazing, but I think what's impressed me the most is once we set up a studio at the house and she got serious about painting the way she is now, is being able to watch where art takes her and how it can completely encompass who she is, and she just pours herself out into it. And when I walk down in the studio and I see her working, I know she's at peace. I know how much she enjoys it, and it's been absolutely fabulous for her. So I envy that. I wish I had that.
Do you paint every day?
I do try to, yes. I haven't
I took a little hiatus getting ready for the wedding, which was awesome. So I didn't paint all last week, and this When we got home Sunday, I painted Monday, and it was probably good. My hand has been giving me some trouble, so I think it's just like tendonitis, so that week off helped that, so that's good. Yeah, but I do try to, if I get up early and get down there and work 2-3 hours, it just makes for a better day.
Just wanted to make a comment. First, I live on Norwood, and I think it's crazy.
See, I'm so glad you did that.
I live just south of North Broadway.
Okay.
But I love how you have this second iteration of your life, or not iteration, but just this chapter, you know, that your children are grown and here you are doing something that you have so much passion for. It's such a great example to everyone, and I'm sure you feel the same for your nieces and nephews and children. It's really encouraging, isn't it? I love that.
Yes, I feel so fortunate because, like you said, we all probably know people that retire from what they've done for decades, years, and just everyone needs to find something for themselves. Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have art in my life.
So, Gale, you've been doing this for a long time, since you were little, right? You found something kind of told you that you were an artist, right?
Yes.
When you were younger. And what I admire most about you is you tended to your kids, you tended to your family, you held a marriage for 45 years, and you kind of put art, I think, back on the back burner for a long time. And I truly appreciate that, because I think family is the most important. I think that's number one. And for someone to put their passion, something that truly they love, a gift from God, to put that on the side for a long time and tend to those things that are more important in life, and then finally picking it back up again. You know, I mean, you have 4 daughters. They're out of the house now. They're off, you know, building their own lives. You've got a great husband and supportive. You know, I think that's the best thing ever, to have your support from family members, and then to be able to enjoy the rest of your life doing something that you just love.
Well, thank you. I agree with you, and thank you. Yes, I don't regret for a moment the way I did things, and I feel fortunate that I was able to, like you said, take what I consider a God-given talent. To me, it would have been a waste to not at least see where it would take me. And, you know, if I die today, hey, I'm happy. So, yeah. Thank you.
That's a good thing. Oh, wonderful. So
Do you sometimes paint with a brush or only with the
I said now there's a new, what is it?
With a brush. With the brush. No, I don't. I haven't. You were maybe not here. I brought one in. There's 2 pieces out there that are brush, and which were earlier in the year, because it was about a year ago, and he said I was going to do this show. But I just enjoy the palette knife and the texture of it. Right? Yes, that one there is done with the brush.
You can tell the difference.
Oh, I love brush painting, and I know a lot of people that do beautiful work with brush. But I'm just enjoying the palette knife myself. But I do the underpainting in brush. Any other questions? Thank you. Well, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it.